Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. It is 9 a.m. Tuesday, October 28th, right here on Jocks. Glad you're with us. Hour number 3 underway. Bruce Feldman of Fox Sports going to join us on the Higginbotham hotline. With all this coaching news that's going on, Bruce obviously has a feel of all that, how it operates, how it works, and is on the pulse of that as well as anyone. He joins us now on the Higginbotham hotline. Bruce, what were your thoughts when you saw or began to learn that Brian Kelly being ousted at LSU was a reality based on where he was in his tenure and how this season had gone?
Yeah, I wasn't shocked because it's year 4 and it wasn't going good, right? The previous 3 guys who've been the head coach, they're all won national titles and all did so within their first 4 years. It's year 4. He talked about how this was his best roster. He openly talked about how they had tripled the budget of the roster and how much money they were spending. He talked about receipts and how they're going to play in the national title. And they got embarrassed at home on Saturday night by Texas A&M. I think that was a tough thing for anybody who really cares about LSU to get around. And so looking at it that way, I think it was only a matter of time because if he wasn't making the playoff, a 12-team playoff, I think they were going to make a change. It just spiraled so fast because they looked so bad in the second half that I think they just said, hey, we got to get rid of this guy now. And so it was surprising just to see how quickly it's circled down the drain. But beyond that, I don't think anybody who's been paying attention is shocked that they would fire him given how it's gone. And, now they just got to figure out what the money situation is. How much is he actually going to get from them?
Still seems crazy sudden. It's just wild to me how quickly things can turn. You can be leading at halftime and then fired 24 hours later. And then you can be in overtime against a top 5 team and be fired 2 weeks later. It's just everything turns so quickly now. But where does LSU's job fall as far as the desirability rankings in your eyes, Bruce?
I think Greg is at the top of the list. I mean, it's Penn State, they haven't won a national title in like 40 years there. Florida, they've obviously won 3, but it's been a while since Urban won his 2. And they've tried a lot of different things. And quite honestly, that job, there's so much competition for the talent in state. When you're at LSU, everybody grows up wanting to be LSU Tigers there. And it doesn't mean you're going to get them all. But I think you have a lot of advantages there. You have the best home field environment, I think, in the country in that stadium when it's rocking. And it usually is. I think it's at the top of the list. But that's right now, let's be honest, there are not a lot of coaches out there who I think people are going to go, oh, yeah, he can go in and win a national title. I think right now, Lane Kiffin is probably the most desirable. I don't want to say necessarily gettable, like he's definitely going to leave what he has in Oxford. But the idea is that Marcus Freeman's going to leave Notre Dame. Kirby's not leaving Athens for these jobs. I just think it's like Kalen DeBoer would leave what he's building at Alabama for Penn State. Like those things don't seem very realistic. Maybe Kiffin's gettable, but now the timing is tricky because barring an epic collapse, they're going to the playoff, and now all of a sudden you got to wait. But that seems to be you may have to wait because there's just not enough coaches out there. You're like, oh, we're going to take this guy because he's available. Well, this guy's probably not better than the guy you just fired.
We're visiting with Bruce Feldman of Fox Sports and The Athletic. He joins us on the Higginbotham hotline. You mentioned other coaches that people may want to go after. This cycle, people continue saying, oh, it's going to get crazy. It's going to be insane. It's going to be the most ever. I don't doubt that. But I begin to wonder how and why these athletic departments can go down that path when they see all these other schools that have already made the moves. Is this really going to deter some teams and programs to say, no, we'll wait? Or are we just at that point now where if things aren't completely satisfactory, they feel like they got to pull the plug and just find somebody?
Yeah, I think it's probably the latter, Cole. I think it's how desperate are you? And to a large degree, I feel like these athletic programs all feel desperate because that's how college football works in this weird echo chamber it is. the one that you guys know well, is what happens with Freeze at Auburn. I mean, he got a much needed win the other day, but it doesn't look great there. And I don't know if you're sitting there and going, all right, I don't know if LSU is going to hire John Sumrall because he's the quote unquote Tulane coach, but he's played in the SEC and coached in it, and everybody who's been around him, thinks he is a rock star of a coach. He's also an Alabama native. If I was Auburn, I'd be like, maybe we should hire him before somebody else does. I don't know if it gets that way. Maybe Freeze goes on a run now. Maybe this was a breakthrough win. I'm interested to see how it plays out, but I don't know, beyond, let's say Auburn. I know there's a handful of other jobs that certainly could spring open depending on how the last month of the season goes. But also, you're going to be in this competition now with LSU and Florida, as you said, and Penn State to some degree. I think it's just, now all of a sudden it is a crowded place. I think the reason why it gets to be such a big cycle is because then you got these guys who are leaving jobs to fill them, because quite honestly, maybe with the exception of like Oklahoma State, I don't know how many jobs I could see taking a coordinator. I think right now the vibe is take a proven good coach at a group of five level, if you can, or poach somebody else's guy, and that means that creates more vacancies.
Bruce, I want to go back to kind of what you're referencing there with Auburn, and if that were to somehow be the case, like with LSU, Greg and I kind of went back and forth on this yesterday. Greg's like, listen, if you make this move this fast, it tells me you have a plan in place. Yeah. I'm actually on the complete opposite end of that. I think if you make a move this fast, it tells me it was panic time and you just didn't know what else to do and felt like you had to make a change immediately, and there is no plan in place. Based on your experience, where are most of these moves? How well thought out are the majority of these firings by these ADs, presidents, board of trustees, boosters, whoever is making the actual decision?
I think the one at Penn State might be more thought out because it's Pat Kraft. I'm not saying he did it in a vacuum, but the AD there, I feel like there's more strength in that position. Quite honestly, like I don't know how stable Scott Woodward's situation is as the LSU AD. Yeah, he's hired the women's basketball coach and the baseball coach who won national titles, but he bombed spectacularly on the hire that matters most by far, and that is the football head coach. And he also, his track record with Jimbo and giving him all that money at A&M was not great. So I think there's people, from my understanding, who are really influential around the LSU program, some money people who don't want him to make the next hire. And so what does that mean going forward? I think it's more what you said. I don't think there's a real defined plan, just because Scott may have a plan, but I think the people who are above him, who may be having to pay for these moves, they may think otherwise. And part of their plan may be, we got to figure out who's going to be the next AD or who's going to be the decision maker. Because remember, that's a university where they're still going to, the president isn't even on the job yet. So there's just a lot of pieces. You have the governor involved. I just think there's way too many things that are like kind of pushing in different directions for me to feel confident that, oh yeah, this is part of a grand plan that's being orchestrated. I think it's all to the contrary. I just think it's like, we don't know what we're going to do next. We know we're just getting rid of him because he does not fit and nobody wants him around anymore. And he doesn't even seem like he wants to be around.
It's pretty crazy though. Ultimately, if you were to put, say, a dollar bet on it, where do you think Lane Kiffin is next year?
Great question. Man, everything, has got this whole extended family settled there in Oxford. I just don't know, they can get to the playoff. Can they actually win it? I don't think this team is good enough to win it. I think it would be hard to say no to Florida. I think it's going to be probably even harder to say no to LSU, but I just don't know where the alignment is on the LSU piece for him. I know he's going to have all the chess pieces, a better idea of the board because he's got Jimmy Sexton. But, man, if I had to guess, I would say he leaves, and that's just strictly a guess. And I think as much as man, I wanted to say it was going to be Florida, but do you turn down LSU to go to Florida? Maybe he does. Like maybe Lane's at Florida. If I had to put the dollar bet down, that's where I guess I'd go. Just a hunch.
Let's take Lane out of the equation for both of those. Let's say he does decide to just stay at Ole Miss. Where does Florida go next? We'll start there.
I would think Florida might go to Eli Drinkwitz. He's done well. He's got a little bit of the edge. Not that he's not as good on social media as Lane, but he's plenty pithy in how his comments are. He's done a really, really good job at Mizzou. I don't know how it goes over the last month because now you're on your third string quarterback. They're a little banged up, but I could see that route. I don't know if you can get Jeff Brom to leave Louisville. If I was an AD, that would be one of my first calls. I think he's done an amazing job at places. He won at Purdue. Purdue is really hard to win at. I get it. It's in an easier conference than the SEC, but I still think you have a brilliant play caller. I don't think he gets enough credit because he's just kind of, people think he's going to stay there. I don't know if Clark Lee is one that you're looking at and saying, all right, we're going to try to get him to leave his alma mater, but I think he's earned that kind of interest to have it. And then the other one I would, say keep an eye on maybe is Kenny Dillingham, another guy at his alma mater who I think has impressed a ton of people, who I could see LSU looking at. I could see Florida looking at, to be honest. Again, I don't know if he wants to make that move, but he's done an amazing job in a short amount of time, and people inside the business have taken note of him.
We're about to answer that question this offseason, it feels like. Would guys leave their alma mater for bigger jobs? Brent Key, Kenny Dillingham, Jeff Brom, Clark Lee. All those guys started to be mentioned in Bruce, and I always feel like that tug at the heartstrings will keep those guys there, but it's going to be an interesting watch this offseason.
It depends so much on the job.
Both jobs. Yeah.
Like you can love your alma mater, but the reality is, man, winning at my alma mater is hard compared to winning at this alma mater, at this other school. I get that. That's the tough part, man, because there is such an emotional tie to your alma mater. It has to be.
The other thing to it, though, also is if you're Jeff Brom, even if you're Kenny Dillingham, you may look at it and go, you know what, I got a much easier path to the playoff in the ACC, certainly in the Big 12. And Kenny Dillingham proved that last year. I don't, Clark Lee, that doesn't change. That equation doesn't change. You're in the SEC for better or worse. So again, it's a question of do they want him and does he want it? The other name I would say to keep an eye on at Florida is Jed Fish at Washington.
Yep.
That's his alma mater, by the way, and he loves that place. And
he and Spurrier are tight too, right?
They are.
That's
Spurrier, he was a student assistant who left notes on Spurrier's car windshield for like 400 days in a row until Spurrier finally decided, hey, I'm going to give this annoying guy a chance to be around the program. And he's done a really good job. And he did an amazing job at Arizona where they were terrible and got him in 3 years to be like number 11 in the country and won 10 games. I would not be surprised if he ended up at Florida if Lane didn't, but because of the Spurrier connection. But again, I think it's Lane first. I think it's Lane's job to turn down in Gainesville. We'll see if it goes that way. But that's, as you said, the alma mater piece. On the Fish side, because it's his alma mater. On the other guy's side, I think it makes it complicated for a lot of these people. But it comes down to resources. And I think access. And these are bigger jobs that they're going to be offered.
So here's another question that we've kicked around, Bruce, and I would love to get your opinion on it. When we're talking about, let's stick with maybe Penn State, Florida, LSU. Those are bigger jobs, and obviously those are even them different jobs in and of themselves. But what traits are most important now? What do these schools have to have? Because you can go back and say, even with, like, let's say LSU, the access to talent and the geography, does that even matter that much anymore? There's not a ton of Louisiana kids that were signed out of high school that are playing for this LSU football team right now. Not near as many as there were when I played or when Greg played. So, like, what are the traits at the top of the list for these big programs that are trying to make big hires?
I think you got to find somebody who still loves recruiting. I mean, Brian Kelly clearly didn't love recruiting, and I think if you get away from that, then all of a sudden I think you're leaning way more on your personnel people. And at the end of the day, um, especially at certain jobs, you might be able to get away with it at some other programs, but like, we did a big story last year, Ralph Russo and I, about why Brian Kelly's struggling so much there when he hadn't struggled at other places like this. And it came back to like, I remember I had the starting center of the team for 2 years, and he was like, I had no personal relationship with him. And I think if you're not authentic, you don't love recruiting, um, and you do not have the ability to put together a really good staff that is cohesive, that has some alignment. It's almost impossible to get great, perfect alignment with 50 50 people. But if you don't have those things, you're going to be having such an uphill battle in this day and age of the portal, of NIL, of keeping players happy, keeping players engaged, keeping your staff engaged. I go back to Kelly. His first couple of staff moves were disastrous. I mean, it's not a secret that the strength coach on the other side of the field, he was the one. He and Jack Marucci were like the two constants of the three national titles at LSU that spanned 20 years. And if you do change just for change sake, I think that's the stuff where you get yourself in a lot of trouble. Because again, that may work if you're at Indiana where they've been terrible almost forever, but if you do it at a place where they have been really good and at times great, and you just think, hey, I'm going to go in the complete opposite direction. I don't need Corey Raymond. Oh yeah, you do, because your defensive back room is going to stink if you don't have a guy who knows it or whatever. And I think all those things, it's important right now because you just have to be there's just way more things to keep track of. And if you're not authentic, if you don't really work at it, if you don't love being, around your staff, and your staff, you don't hire a really good cohesive staff. Dan Lanning's done a lot of that. That's why he is doing so well at Oregon. I know it was going pretty good before he got there, but I think he's been masterful in the staff he's put together, and it's gone great. And you need somebody who's going to do that, I think, if you're going to really make a run at national titles and playoff success.
Bruce, great stuff. Thank you so much for hopping on. Greatly appreciate it.
Always a pleasure, guys.
Talk to you soon.
Thanks.
All right, there you go. Bruce Feldman of Fox Sports and The Athletic. He's got a story up on LSU now. We'll tag that on our Instagram page at Mac and Cube, and also on our Twitter page at Mac and Cube. You can follow along. You can always tweet into the show there to be a part. Some interesting thoughts, G-Mac, just kind of on these jobs, where they go next, what they look for next. And I run in circles on this, specifically with LSU.
Yeah.
A lot of ways Florida, some ways Penn State, of what do you want next? And I think the Jedd Fisch one would actually be great at Florida. And there will be a lot of Florida fans that will say, what? No. He's not an SEC guy.
My only problem with the Jedd Fisch thing is he hasn't ever been anywhere long enough to know how good he is. That's my only challenge with him. Like, I think he's done a good job at Arizona. I like his team this year at Washington, if you want me to be completely honest. I think he's done a real good job. When a guy goes from place to place to place to place to place, it's hard to get a sense as to what his long-term plans are. Is it not? I mean, it's not about him. The guy's upgraded his situation in many cases. It's not like, he's making lateral moves, but it's just, I think it's hard to get a sense of what a guy's long-term developmental prospects are at an institution if he hasn't ever been anywhere longer than 2 or 3 years.
It's fair. I do think some of that circumstance, conference realignment, maybe played into some of that. Portal played into some of that, but he's done a great job everywhere he's been. We'll continue talking coaching changes. Brian Driskell is going to join us at 9:30. He's covered Brian Kelly. Where does he think he ends up next? And is Notre Dame in jeopardy of losing their head coach? We'll ask him all that. Cover some more college football next right here on Jocks. I forgot to mention something with you guys yesterday. I was in my hotel room in Charlotte Sunday. Always put the NFL on in the background. I probably see like 5 plays a day. This commercial comes on during the game. This may have been actually during Sunday Night Football. Oh, no, because it's going to be on Fox. It's not going to be on NBC anymore. And I was like, wait a minute. Really? And I turned and looked, and it was a commercial for a show that's coming back. We talked about this show like 2 weeks ago with Jordan Rodgers on this show. And we were all excited about, could we go find it and watch it? And now it's going to be back. Do you have any idea what this show is?
No idea.
Weakest link.
Ooh.
We would be excited about that?
We might. I don't know.
You want the weakest link.
I didn't think it was good when it was on. I never even understood what they were doing.
I still don't understand what that show is all about.
This is a show we like, though, that we want back, and we're getting it back. And Johnny Knoxville is going to be the host.
Not Jack A.
Nope. I mean, kind of, but no. Nobody knows. We talked about it with Jordan that we would go on this show, but there were certain things on this show that we would and would not do.
Survivor.
Close.
Fear Factor.
Yes.
It's coming back?
It's back. Fear Factor's back.
Mm-hmm.
On Fox, Johnny Knoxville, your host.
Why would Johnny Knoxville host?
Paycheck.
Where's Rogan?
Kind of busy.
Making $6 billion a year doing a podcast.
A little bit more.
Joe Rogan don't need that check right now. Johnny Knoxville probably like, yes, we didn't even tell you the terms. Yes. Yeah, but we can only get, yes. When do you need a film? I'm there. Are you in on the new Fear Factor? What are you guys looking it up? No one has anything to say about this.
I'm looking it up right
now.
now.
I'm so excited.
I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't like Fear Factor to begin with.
So you lied to us on the air that day.
No, I watched it. I didn't like it. I've watched it because I felt like I needed to. That was what all the boys were watching back in the day. But here's my problem. I struggle with eating weird stuff, and I struggle with heights. Those are my 2 things. I would not be a good candidate.
Those are the 2 things that you always see on Fear Factor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not a good candidate for Fear Factor. So while I watched it, it led to high stress levels. And at this point in my life, I have enough high stress levels. Like, I needed the rush back in the day. I don't need that anymore. I have a rush. You know what it's called? Life. I have a rush. You know it's called 3 kids under 6. Like, I have a rush. You know it's called soccer practice at 5:30. You know it's called 2 basketball practices a weekend. You know it's called raising an 18-month-old daughter who went to bed last night in the 7th inning.
Yeah, but this
of the
is
baseball
called
game.
This is called Fear Factor House of Fear.
That's great. And you know, if I want that, I'll just watch Saw 2. I can do it in 2 hours.
It's not even in a house.
Yeah, it is.
It's in like a building,
That's
warehouse.
the one you'd watch? I mean, the first one's the best.
Yeah, but the first one's by far the best one. Saw 2?
Derek Ham tweeted in and guessed it before I even said it. Good job, Derek.
After 1, it really kind of...
You win the chance to eat a cow intestines right here on the show.
If it's intestines, good luck.
See, like, yeah, the intestines are the least of my concerns. Mine are like the bugs that you eat that will like sting your mouth.
These don't look like oysters.
I couldn't do the bugs, man. I'm just like those.
Well, they're all bugs.
Mandarinian hissing cockroaches, whatever you used to always eat. So when I worked for a drug company in North Alabama, there was a guy who I played football with. He was a walk-on receiver. He lived in Hartselle. Him and his wife went on the show. And that came up. And it was like one or the other. And I think he stepped up and did it, so she didn't have to. And I was like, I got to know like what this was like. And he said that whatever happened, either what came out of it or bites from it, he was like, my mouth didn't recover for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
He said it was bad.
Yep.
He also has won every single argument for the rest of his entire life with that in that relationship. Because, you know, baby, I'm going to do this because there ain't no coming back from that.
Roaches. I think they won too.
Great.
I'm not mistaken. I'll try to get him on the show. No, this is coming back. I don't know another person that's been on Fear Factor.
No, it's awesome.
And it felt like they always saved the thing that you at least wanted to do till the end. You'd be like, oh, I would jump off a car going 80 miles an hour. I'll jump out of a helicopter. Yes, I'll be buried alive in a coffin.
Nope.
Hold on. I have to eat a scorpion?
Not even the scorpion.
Billy, you win.
You just called.
I'm tapping out.
I forgot about my fear of claustrophobia. Now I'm back. Just the idea of being buried alive.
Claustrophobia, you can close your eyes and go to another place. Like if snakes crawling on you, you can close your eyes and go to another place. When you put a giant worm in your mouth, there's no other place to go to. It's there. It's happening. It's real. I can close my eyes and imagine I'm somewhere else if I'm buried in a coffin. Like,
I'm glad
what's
you.
NBC going to do? Let me
can.
die? No.
Pretending I'm watching tape.
Never know.
See, y'all didn't play for Rick Trickett. I already know. It's been ingrained in me. When you're buried alive in a coffin on NBC, you pass out before you die.
You know what else?
See, I already know it's going to be okay because you'll pass out before you die.
Well, before you went on.
That's what I was always told.
Before you went on Fear Factor, you could have gone over there in the corner and gotten yourself a pump and really intimidated all the
If you're going to be on
other
television, you probably should.
contestants.
Intimidate your contestants.
Yep.
That's who honestly should host Fear Factor, by the way, is Rick Trickett.
Yep, he'd be great.
It's just a cockroach. Put it in your mouth.
It's just a cockroach. What are you worried about? You worried about having stomach issues?
It's a Mack truck coming at you 100 miles an hour.
Is your tummy
What's
going to bother
the
you?
worst can happen?
You'll be fine.
You're a human. These cockroaches, you're supposed to eat them easy.
It's just protein.
By the way, I would love to see Fear Factor for regular people at an offensive lineman's practice. Okay, up next, we're going to push the sled for 15 straight minutes. Ready, go. I quit.
Yeah. I think that sounds funny. Must be hard to just hit a guy across from you. Try being Fear Factor and having 11 guys on the other side of the line that want to hurt you.
Yeah,
And
I'm the one that's got to block them and keep them from doing that.
And having to stand back there while your big old lineman try.
All right, guys, Oklahoma drill against Marcus Stroud. I quit. Oh, you're not advancing. Nope, you're done.
No, I could handle O-line Fear Factor.
Yeah,
I'd like to see your
you
big
Michael
butt
Myers
get
go
back
at
there
it.
in the pocket and people diving at your legs and trying to hit your shoulder and all you linemen. You don't know what ball's about. You
Tweet
don't
into
know.
the show. Let us know. Are you in on the new Fear Factor? Yes or no?
I want the next Fear Factor for a average Joe to have to stand.
They had that show, Greg. It's called Pros versus Joes. It was terrible.
I want to see a Joe stand in the pocket against an NFL pass rush.
They did it. I think they had like Terrell Suggs or somebody in there.
Or
Got a
cover
free
zero
shot at it.
blitz. Bring cover zero.
Nobody's scared of that.
Yep.
I want to see somebody go one-on-one with John Randall.
John Randall's like
Good luck.
5'11",
And he would
290.
still ruin you right this second.
I'd cut him. I'll just take his leg. I'll go low. I'm not going to go with the ninja hands. You can't beat me with that.
All right, Brian
Be
Driskell
impossible.
tells us whether or not he wants to watch the new Fear Factor next on Jocks. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Thankful to be here. Not in a Target parking lot.
I believe it's Target.
Mm-hmm. Bryan Driskell covers Notre Dame. A couple different things that we want to ask him today. We'll start with this, Bryan. Fear Factor is coming back. Are you in or out?
I am out, especially if it's going to be Greg going after John Randall. That's not going to go
I don't
well.
like my chances.
That's actually the one I'd be most in for.
No.
Since he thinks the hardest fear factor would be facing a cover 4 defense in 7-on-7.
Yeah,
But,
cover 4.
Whatever. Same thing.
I'm about
All right,
done
so
with
you
Cole.
covered Brian Kelly. Looking back on this now, I have a pretty good idea where you are on the actual move when it took place, but are you still surprised that the tenure was this short in Baton Rouge?
Yeah, I am. Look, I took a lot of flack back then because I went on national shows and said that Brian Kelly will never win a championship at LSU. I did not see him failing to this degree. No, I didn't think it was going to go well, but I didn't think he was going to get fired basically midway through year 4. No, I thought he'd at least do at LSU what he did at Notre Dame, which was be just good enough not to get fired, but not good enough to win a championship.
So looking at where Brian Kelly failed, what can the next coach do in an effort to get back to endearing himself to the community and winning at the highest possible level?
I think the biggest thing is embrace LSU, and that was something he didn't do at LSU. It's something he didn't do at Notre Dame. Embrace the reality of being a great head football coach is being able to get your players to want to play for you, to play with fire, to embrace the standard that is LSU, to embrace the fact that, you know, we are going to compete for championships. We are going to be the most physical, toughest team on the field every Saturday. That's something, Greg. I mean, you know this. You played against LSU. And Cole, you did as well. Like, you were going to be in for a dog fight. You might win, but you're going to walk away limping and bloodied if you played LSU. That's completely gone. And I think you've got to get back to that standard where kids love playing for you. They love playing for LSU. And you're a team that, like, going into Death Valley is no longer like, not a big deal. I mean, what, Kelly get blown out 3-4 times at home in his tenure? Like, just completely unacceptable. So I think it's just getting back to the identity, the DNA of what made LSU so good for so long. And he just was unwilling to embrace that, just like he was unwilling to embrace what made Notre Dame unique.
What parts of Notre Dame being unique did he not embrace? Actually, I don't recall. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, number one, he always used the things that make Notre Dame unique as a stumbling block. Well, we can't win because he used this expression all the time. We have to shop down a different aisle from a recruiting standpoint. Well, no, you didn't. You just have to work harder, like Marcus Freeman and Charlie Weiss did. Former players were not embraced. You hardly ever saw former players back and on the sidelines. And as soon as Marcus Freeman comes back, once again, we got Joe Montana at games again. We got Jerome Bettis at games again. Tim Brown at games again. Manti Te'o's coming back. And it was always about, like, no, I need to be the face of the program. And he was always kind of brushing off tradition. Now, he would give you lip service to those things, but behind the scenes, it was always about, let's change it, let's push back on the standard. And everything that makes Notre Dame unique, that makes Notre Dame, he did not embrace. I mean, he got rid of the going to the Basilica and all these. I mean, he just always was pushing away the tradition in an attempt to create something new, which you don't need to do at Notre Dame or LSU. And those are the things that had me and other people saying, like, this is why this guy's not going to win at Notre Dame, because he's not willing to embrace what makes Notre Dame special.
So where do you think this hire will ultimately go? Who do you think is the guy that they'll settle on? Because frankly, I think part of the reason, in my opinion, and this is conspiratorial, I get it, part of the reason why they decided to make a move is because they felt like Lane Kiffin was going to be in pursuit at Florida, and they said, you know what, we don't want to have to. We want Lane Kiffin at our place, not at Florida. We don't have to play him. So it feels like maybe those two moves are related. Is that possible?
I mean, I think you have to get yourself in the mix for the top guys, whether that's Lane Kiffin or maybe some other guys. But I mean, you're gonna have to face Lane Kiffin no matter what. It's, do you want to face him at Ole Miss or do you want to face him at Florida? I think that's really the conversation. But I think when you look at it, there are some really good coaches out there right now. Lane Kiffin will be the name that probably excites fans. Dan Lanning would be a name that excites fans if you can somehow pull them away from Phil Knight in Oregon. But look, there's some other really good football coaches that may not excite the fan base, but eventually they'll come around on because they're darn good football coaches. Like John Sumrall, Alex Golesh. If you can somehow convince Dan Lanning to come back to the SEC, I think Lane's a heck of a coach. I think he's really matured the last couple of years, but I don't think it's Lane or bust for me. I think there's some good coaches out there. You just have to make sure you get one of them.
All right, so one of the other reasons I wanted to have Bryan Driskell on the show, he's with us on the Higginbotham hotline right now. You can find his work at irishbreakdown.com, at Coach D178 on Twitter, is Marcus Freeman's name is popping up. And there are certain people that will say, even though he hasn't voiced the issues publicly like Brian Kelly decided to, that there are some things that he is a little frustrated with behind the scenes. Is there any reality to him maybe exploring possibilities of leaving for one of these other jobs that's open?
I have heard that this week, and honestly, guys, that was news to me. I have not heard that at all. And I feel like I'm pretty connected to the program, and I reached out to a couple buddies that cover the team that are also very connected, and we all just kind of got a good chuckle out of that. I think Marcus Freeman is very happy at Notre Dame. The program has been very supportive of him financially and in every way possible, and he got a pretty big contract last year. So I haven't heard that. Everything that I've heard is that Marcus Freeman is happy at Notre Dame. Do I think there are some jobs he might pursue down the road? Ohio State, NFL, perhaps. But, he's got a top 3 recruiting class right now. The school's spending a ton of money. They've been able to go out in the portal and get him whatever players he wants. They're getting top high school players. So there's a lot of good things going on in Notre Dame. I just don't see a world in which Marcus Freeman considers going to LSU. I mean, he took less money to go to Notre Dame as a defensive coordinator instead of LSU in 2021 because he's from Ohio. His wife's from Ohio. The grandparents of his 6 kids are all in Ohio. He's a northern guy, and I'd be very surprised if Marcus Freeman seriously considered going to LSU or Florida, anywhere else outside of his agent doing his job to use those openings to get Marcus some of the things that he wants and needs at Notre Dame.
I don't see it. I mean, I've been around Marcus a lot. I know I don't blame him for being a desirable candidate. I don't see him leaving, but
I agree.
We'll see. It'd be fascinating nonetheless. When you look at Notre Dame's prospects down the road this year, obviously very, very gettable schedule from this point forward, but we have seen this team last year play to the level of the competition. Granted, that was super early, and we haven't seen it since. So what is the likelihood of this team making the college football playoff, and how dangerous can they be if they get there?
Well, Greg, you say that. He's actually had those games every year. 22, it was Marshall and Stanford. 23, it was Clemson late in the year. Louisville, where you're just like, what was that? And then last year, Northern Illinois. So this is Marcus Freeman's first chance to not have that, what the heck was that game? And they're going to need that. I think if Notre Dame wins, they're in. I just think when you look at how the metrics look at Notre Dame, how the FPI, the FEI, the Sagarin, Massey, they all view Notre Dame as a top 5 to 6 team. They're 10-2. They're going to have 2 incredibly close losses to ranked teams. USC, I think, is going to end up ranked at the end of the year. If they win, they're in. The only question for me is, do they host or not? I think that's more of the conversation, assuming they handle business. Because I don't know that if they just win by field goal games the next 5 games, they would deserve to be in. That's not what Notre Dame's done. They, last 3 years at Notre Dame, when they win big. They tend to win big under Marcus Freeman. So they handle business. Pitt winning has been helpful for Notre Dame. Navy continuing to win has been very helpful for Notre Dame. It gives them a chance to have some quality wins down the stretch. But, last year we had two lost teams that hosted. I think we'll probably get two lost teams that host this year because there's already fewer undefeateds and fewer one-loss teams in the top 25 this year than there was last year. There were 3 2-loss teams in the top 25 after week 9 last year. There's 7 now. So I think Notre Dame's win. You're going to be in. The only question is where are you going to be seated?
Yeah, we thought there were going to be multiple 3-loss teams in at the beginning of the season. I mean, we both thought at least one got in. There was a chance that there were going to be more than one. It's looking slim that actually takes place. But where is this team health-wise right now, heading down this home stretch?
Well, they're a little banged up in the lines. Obviously Charles Jagsaw's been out all year. Billy Strout's going to be out for at least the next 3-4 games. They're hoping to get him back at the end of the regular season. If not, they'll get him back for the playoffs. Gabriel Rubio's going to be out again. Their D tackle, who's been great against the run this season. They're a little banged up in the trenches, but they're starting to get healthier. Devontae Smith is getting closer to being back. Jaden Greathouse is closer to getting back. And so at least skill-wise, they're close to being full speed, but they're a little banged up in the trenches. But fortunately, that's a position that Notre Dame was very deep coming into the season, so they've still got some talent. I mean, you're losing Billy Strout, but you're putting Sullivan Absher in the game. It was a borderline top 100 recruit coming out. He's played a lot of football as well. So they just can't take too many more of those injuries, but just got to get healthy in the trenches.
We appreciate the time. It's always great catching up with you. You always offer great insight, not even if it's not Notre Dame, even if it's Fear Factor. So we appreciate you hopping on with us
Greg,
today. And
don't cut John Randall.
No,
Notre Dame
I don't like my
you,
chances.
Man.
I'll probably resist the urge.
Good idea. Good idea.
Thank you very much, Bryan. We'll catch up soon.
See you guys.
Bryan Driskell covers Notre Dame, irishbreakdown.com, does a great job there. Find him on Twitter, wherever you get your Notre Dame information as well. Interesting thoughts there, just kind of on him not hearing anything about Marcus Freeman potentially having some frustrations and getting out, Greg, because I had not either until some of these rumors started floating around. I didn't think that was a real thing.
Yeah.
But there are some people that believe he would have real interest. Other people will tell you it would only be an NFL job that he may potentially leave for.
I'd be surprised. I'm not saying it's a lock. I'd be surprised. I just know the financial commitment the university made last year. And he is among the highest paid coaches in the sport. So
I got to ask you a question about something on the other side. And it's something that Bryan brought up that I just do not understand. And I want to get a bad box score of the day in, so we'll have to do a couple of things there. But I'll ask it on the other side. As football season moves on, you know that means changes in the weather are coming. Protect your HVAC system with a checkup from a trained comfort specialist. So when the cold weather hits, you'll have peace of mind. You're protected by America's most reliable and trusted brand. Find a comfort specialist near you at train.com. It's hard to stop a train. Start thinking about this, though. Just former players not being welcomed back. If there is a how or a why that makes any sense, I need to hear it. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I cannot come up with anything. And I've seen it at my school. We just heard Bryan Driskell say he's seen it at Notre Dame, which with that list of guys would be the one that I would think you would never say no to. You don't want Joe Montana coming back? You don't want Jerome Bettis hanging around your program?
No.
Tim Brown?
Can't have him.
You don't want Ronnie Stanley hanging around in there?
Can't do it.
I mean, I'm sorry, I can't. There's nothing that I can think of that's going to, before we move to that, tell our listeners about Crocker Moving Services.
They're a local company owned by an Iraq War veteran, Eric Crocker. Crocker believes in hiring movers you can trust to complete full background checks and run drug tests on every single employee. These are good guys. You can trust them in your home. Let your whole home packed up, move your company headquarters into cross country, or you just want them to come rearrange your living room. These guys got you covered. They also do deliveries for furniture that you purchase need to get to your home. So call or visit them online today for a free quote. The website's crockermovingservice.com. That's crockermovingservice.com. Support your veterans by choosing Crocker Moving Service for your next move.
All right, we'll be back to wrap up today's show, give you a bad box score of the day, and try to answer that question, make some sense of it next on Jocks. All right, welcome back here. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Going to get to a bad box score of the day. Does anybody have a reason that would make sense to not allow former players back, or not welcome former players back? Let me get this straight. I don't think there's any coach that has like banned former players.
Well,
But like this was a deal early on with Tuberville. Like they didn't really welcome the Bowden players back. And even if they didn't do it, guys like Damian Craig, Takeo Spikes, Willie Anderson, they didn't feel like they were wanted back. So even if you're just making them feel that way, that's bad. Like I would say there's a couple of places that would be at the top of this list. LSU would be on one of them, by the way. Notre Dame would be one.
Yeah.
Like what would ever be the benefit of not wanting your all-time great players to be around the program?
I feel like maybe later down the line, if
Y'all ain't doing it like we did.
maybe something like that, like players coming around LSU like maybe 3-4 weeks ago, they're like, Brian Kelly ain't doing it. If you're maybe kind of talking smack against it, but like once he got there, he should have been embracing those
I
former
would have
LSU
guys
players.
back like twice a week,
I
especially there.
I mean,
I don't know that someone is yet to present a good argument for why guys shouldn't be allowed to come back. Now,
They ain't a part of my culture.
well, that is the one that I kind of am like, all right, I understand that, I guess.
It's not their fault they didn't play for you.
No, it's
I mean-
not. It's not.
Like you're going to tell Tyrann Mathieu just because he didn't play at the same time you coached, he probably shouldn't be around your team. Stop it.
I don't know if that's
You don't
that's
want Patrick
real.
Peterson hanging around the facility.
You'd think that that's real. I think having those guys in the weight room, having those guys working out all the time, having those guys utilizing the facilities, to me, does it really bother you? Like, are they getting in the way? Is it a distraction?
feels like a Belichick thing to do.
Doesn't feel like a distraction to me, but I don't
No.
know. I'm like, I'm a former player. So if I wanted to go work out in Tuscaloosa for whatever reason, I should and can go right now. If I want to go back to practice, I can go back whenever I want.
Yeah.
If I want to go back and sit in the quarterback meeting, I can go back whenever I want. Whenever I want. So like it's such a foreign concept to me. I've never understood not being able to do that. I don't get it.
I'm with you. Tell our listeners about Chenard Flooring.
Well, Fu and his guys are continuing to stockpile inventory. 50,000 square feet of Core-Tec flooring by Shaw in stock right now. That premium Core-Tec flooring comes with a 20 mil wear layer, so it's built to last and priced to move. It's durable, dependable, and at Chenard Flooring, nobody has the Core-Tec that Fu has, and he's passing that savings of 20 to 40% on to you. It's a deal you just can't touch. So remember Chenard Flooring. When you want Core-Tec, call who? Call Fu. Call Chenard Flooring at 205-518-6423 or go online at fuandyou.com.
Now, I will say occasionally there are some players out there that expect a smidge too much.
Yes, I agree with that.
What do you mean I can't be on the headset on the sideline? Calm down. You had 10 career catches. It's okay.
Easy.
All right, let's get to a bad box score of the day. Take you to junior college football. We got a new contestant here. Myrtle Beach Collegiate Academy.
They're the Turtles.
They're not.
That's right.
Had to be the
I mean,
Turtles.
it's right there.
The Terrapins.
Wouldn't they be the Sea Turtles if they were?
It's still
They're not the Terrapins either. They are the Marauders, though.
okay. All right, I'll give them
They
that.
took on the Lewisburg College.
They are the Lankies.
No.
The Labradoodles.
They're in North Carolina, by the way. They're the Hurricanes.
No.
Just took that one from Miami.
And the hockey team.
Well, at least it's better than Tulsa.
The score was 60-0.
Oh,
Lewisburg got the win, so Myrtle Beach was marauded.
oof.
Net
Poorly.
yards passing, 195 to 153. You're probably saying, well, that's not that bad. The total yards differential was 523 to 136.
That's
The
not bad.
Myrtle Beach Marauders ran 18 times for minus 17 yards.
All right, wrong way. Okay.
It's not great.
Sack yards factors in.
Now, also the efficiency passing, even though they had 153 yards, they were 15 of 35.
Okay.
Inefficient. Not
And
good.
the problem
Not-
with that
It's
is
just not the best.
not
ever.
what you're looking for.
Everything,
Jamison
Greg.
Prince ran 12 times for 143 for Lewisburg. They did not punt in the game and kicked off 9 times for 653 yards.
Yeesh.
9 sacks in the game
Up there it was. That was the key. That was
for
the difference.
Lewisburg as well. I would love to give you some of the defensive stats for Myrtle Beach, but no one recorded them.
Probably for the best.
They're not available.
Not even the kickoff stats?
Their kickoff stats are not available either. I'm surprised even their rushing and passing numbers are here. But
what are we even doing?
So 60-0 is your bad box score of the day. Tell our listeners about ProLift.
Well, ProLift doors, they're great. And they do a fantastic job of taking care of your garage doors. If you're trying to upgrade your garage door, that can improve the appearance of your home. If you need garage door opener repair, replacement, if you got unusual noises, slow response times, vibration, shaking, you need to call for a maintenance service. What I love about ProLift doors is that there are no service call fees. You only pay for the work, not for the visit. They are in Baldwin County and here locally. So to find the appropriate number for you, go to the website, proliftdoors.com. That's proliftdoors.com. ProLift Garage Doors, lifting your expectations.
All right, we're back tomorrow, 7 to 10 a.m. Gerard Parker, Troy head coach at 8 a.m. Matt Jones talks Auburn, Kentucky at 8:30. Andy Kennedy, UAB basketball coach at 7:30. Some of y'all are going to be mad, but don't be. We get a little basketball in here every now and then. It's starting, folks. Get ready for it.
We ready.
Just get ready. 3-man front coming up next, followed by Paul Feinbaum for all your college football news and discussion. There's no reason not to keep it locked right here on Jocks.